Hello and welcome to this video diary of getting all of my big, large Lego Star Wars sets placed for the very first time. The AT-AT is going to go into a new position. This is going to be placed on base plates for the first ever time and put into obviously a brand new position in this room because of course it's only just been built. The Venator is going to have to move. We are going to do something with the sail barge and the cantina as well. So there's lots and lots of dioramas that we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks, and you guys and girls are going to be tagging along for the ride for that. So with that being said, let's get to it. But because this has taken so long and there's still a lot to do, this is now going to be uploaded in separate parts. I've already filmed the first two parts and it's just over 3 hours in total. That's why I'm not going to do one big upload. But what I'm looking at is the end result of part number 2. So we get a lot of progress made. So try it again. With that being said, let's get to it. So of course, space is at a premium. Now this is going to be quite a interesting thing for me to watch back as well. And I said it's going to be a long upload because we have to also get this tidy and bits and pieces put into the correct position so I can actually do a review of this set before it gets placed. But I want to try and build up a half decent backdrop first, but not give too much away because that video is going to go live for this one, and then we can actually add in some of the paths and just figure out what's going to be going on after that video goes uploaded. So there's got to be a plan of attack. So the carousel and the He-Man castle are going to come off. The green base plates are going to come off easy enough. The sand base plates are going to go onto the right hand side. Hoth is going to go onto the left hand side because I think this would look great on camera when it's up on the roller coaster. All simple enough so far. So that's basically where we want to get to on that, where this is just placed. Some of the AT-AT walks and stuff are just placed on the white, but there's no base plates down just yet. And of course these are just going to get launched underneath gently, because all of that underneath would obviously then just be redone when the new innards come, so I can then have a harder base to put them on. So that'll be absolutely fine. Underneath here, we've obviously got the cantina, we've got a lot of Tatooine stuff, and we have got the sail barge. That's going to come up, and over a period of time, we're going to see how high we can actually get the sail barge, where roughly you can put it, where we're going to put the cantina, all that kind of stuff. While all of this is going on, and we're going to be starting tiling, there will be a live stream starting for the Ninjago Rising Dragons. So I am on a bit of a time limit to start with, because my priority at the moment is to get this filmed. The second this is filmed, it then has to be out the way, because this area here is then going to be used for the Ninjago build, because it is just such a big thing. For the review, I hope you're keeping up. For this review, I need this table for the box, the instruction booklets and all of the innards, and then this is obviously then going to stay here. So I'm going to have the camera set up one way for one bit and one way for the other, because it's just too big. Once it's then been reviewed, this box will then get flat packed and all of that kind of stuff. But that can't happen until I start doing side-by-side comparisons of these larger sets as well. So there's quite a lot to go on, but the side-by-side comparisons won't happen until the Ninjago thing's done. So this box can just live at the back where the Rising Dragons box is. So hopefully you guys and girls have managed to keep up with that. Now I have already started basically putting all of the innards inside themselves, because there is so many bags to this. I think we've got up to 81, but then don't forget each bag will have a minimum of 1 inner bag, if not 2. I've got all of the spare pieces. Now bearing in mind, that's it. And we got a lot of the same bits for some reason, so I'm not 100% sure why they think all of these are going to ping off. So that is a thing. Maybe you can add to it, make it look a bit bigger. And obviously I've just got to be careful of the gun. The window at the back looks impressive, but it's never ever going to be seen after the review. So of course I need space to be able to turn this around, which means all of the minifigures will have to be put up on the shelf and yada yada yada. So we have got, well, we've got a good amount of time now to get this ready to film. And then my plan is to get this bit just thrown on with the correct base plates down, and this bit ready to film and filmed today. And then in a couple of days time, we're going to be starting doing the live stream. And then in between the live streams, I can then carry on putting the path down and make this look neat and tidy. And of course, we'll have this on black base plates for the first ever time as well. So yeah, I don't know how long this video is going to be. It might be a while because it's going to cover a great distance and we have a huge amount of stuff to move. And obviously what I want to do, is the reason why I'm doing everything at the same time, is I just want to make it look nice rather than doing 80/80 stuff and then doing the cantina and going, oh, actually it probably looks better on the other side, and then before you know it, it's like 3 or 4 videos. At least this is going to be one big video and it's done, because once this is up on the shelf and these bits are in, and obviously the path, we'll basically get as much of the path in as we can up to a point, and then with the Venator, that won't be able to start until probably next year when this is on the stand, because this is going to be my building area. And then at the start of the year, I'm going to have to figure out a new place to build. So I am going to have to get the stuff up off the floor onto here, get that stuff down, but I need to pick up the base plates first. So let's just get this all together. It's been safe and sound because I did, that's the spare pieces for the actual giveaway. There's quite a few spare pieces for the giveaway as well. That's a bit of a weird thing. So we're going to need, these are going onto the other side. They're spare. I can actually use the shelf for now. And of course, the other thing is when I start the live stream, this has to go back in this position. So the cantina's just going to go flat against that wall for now. That'll be in there, and I'm going to have to keep moving the light out the way to carry on putting the path down. So yeah, it's going to be good fun and games. Otherwise, if I don't do it this way, then I'm just never going to be able to do the display. We're just going to keep on building. So we're basically going to get to a point, see what it's all about. We've obviously got the huge diorama template of 9 base plates, because we've got some white ones on there and some tan ones on there. So I think I'm going to go 6th Hoff. I don't know. This is the other question. I don't know whether to do 6 and 9 or 9 and 6 for sand versus tan. The tan base plates are underneath there, which doesn't help, and I can't move this because I've got nowhere to put it. And obviously ideally what I want to do is I want to put the tan base plates down. How many are right? There's 4 tan base plates there, so at least we can get a row of 3, and there's some clipped together on that. So that's what I've got to do. That's what I've got to do first. I'm going to do those first. I've got to keep the sticker sheet close together. I've got to get all of these pieces back together, put them in the box, and then obviously show all of those pieces off. I've got to get all of these pieces recycled, so all of them will go in there. So yeah, it's going to be a long slog. It's going to be a long slog. Well, if it's this easy, that'll be great. So yeah, we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5, aren't we, wide on these. These are spare bits to go inside the head. And I have got a lot of pieces on the floor that I will pick up, which I'm just not going to do now with you, because well, that would just suck. Now if I can, that's what we want to do. So we've got, where can I actually put? I want to get you up a little bit higher so you can kind of see. Tape measure be handy? Yeah. Yeah, I can just leave you there until the battery. Until the battery runs out, and what's it just done? It's just run out. Right, you have a fresh battery. There's some other lighting spun round. Obviously I'm not turning on the big lights because well, they don't need to be on. And of course The other thing that I've got to think of is, where do all these construction sets end up? Now, I am actually thinking that they are all going to go underneath the table, because depending on all of this news with regards to Stranger Things and all of that kind of thing, are we going to have a horror section underneath this table? Because we've got this mythical bit going on with Lord of the Rings, and we've got Dungeons and Dragons, and then it sort of wrapped around into the Disney bit. Then we've got the castle. From the castle, does it then go into the horror, which then do we move the haunted house underneath the table, and it frees up bits and pieces in front of the Marvel? So yeah, there's all of these sorts of things to think about. Right, that is the first three. That's the first three base plates in. Done a thing. Now that's one more. So we will be okay for 6 to start with. So without me having to look for lots of them, we should be okay. But that thing does look, let's be honest, very, very menacing. It does look a pretty good looking set. Has got its porta toilet and everything else, but of course this will need to be moved. But I can use the shelf probably for the next day or two, and then they'll start to go underneath the floor. If I can get them on the floor, then obviously I'll put them on the floor. But that's going to look quite nice for a Tatooine thing. We're going to attempt to put the cantina just there, just on that bit, and that is what's going to come up straight away. So we're now going to have a go with that, just see the length of the cantina. Like I said, it's just going to be a temporary mock-up to start with, and then once it's been reviewed and I've got the Ninjago set being built, we can start to fine-tune it all in this disaster episode, and then we can go from there. So this is now finally coming up. Of course, I don't particularly want to unplug everything, because I'm going to need these lights, I think, potentially, for the review. How long is this? Yeah, it should be. It should be okay. So can we? I've literally got nowhere to put anything yet. I have lots of space when it's done, but just not that much space at the moment. Right, you are physically on top of this set. Now you're falling on that set. Right, so that is where that can go. Now, if the sail barge goes up behind it, we could just have another 2 bits of sand and potentially be done. So I don't know what to do for the middle 3. I don't know what to split it up with at the moment. So this will be something that will more than likely develop on the lives and asking questions, especially when I'm starting like the Ninjago stuff. I'll be asking questions. I'll speak to the Guru Jay as well, and just think about what can go there, because I don't need any more than 6 for snow, but we could just put some extra down. We could potentially, I don't know, put a little ride in there, or do something. So, but it does mean now that we will potentially have a full cantina bar, which will be a nice thing to see. Obviously, I'm going to keep all of that open, because this does allow us now to put all the minifigures around it. I am going to tile all of this up in the actual correct tiles I've got, because I've got the dark tan and the light tan tiles. So that should be okay. Now what I am going to do is we are going to just get this light out the way before I actually break it. And I will use the shelf. Use this trusted shelf. So we're going to kind of have to play 1 for 1. So this is the thing that's going the furthest away. So I might as well try and make an effort to get that where I think it's going to go. And then just kind of play tag that way, unless I can get some more of the Tatooine. Would that be easier? Would that be easier? If this box wasn't so big, it would make my life a little bit easier. Right, that is another one of those, so that's up to 5. So we've got one more at the moment, and then we'll figure out what it is. Doesn't make a huge difference the second that's on, just in a bigger space and a nice little bit of colour. I think what's going to be the decision maker is, are we going to be adding? Can I get the sail barge up higher? So if I can get the sail barge up higher, then we'll be okay. If I can't, then we're going to be in trouble. So I'm just going to now place all of these here, and of course I can't use, I've got a nice big shelf underneath here as well, but the sail barge is on that shelf. So until that shelf has gone, until the sail barge has moved, I can't use that shelf. But the sail barge isn't going to the sail barge isn't going to move until after the review, because I need, it's all confusing. I just need to put everything everywhere. Just need to put everything everywhere. So let's throw all of these on. That noise was me walking in to the Death Star. Not a very good idea. What else have we got? That's all the Tatooine. That's all the Tatooine just thrown up. So yeah, maybe spread that out over 6, and then if we can get the sail barge against that wall, then it's not going to take up any space at all. Possibly. Now the He-Man castle now will work nicely. So what I want to do is, I want to, underneath here, I know this has nothing to do with Star Wars, but underneath here I want to have an abandoned carousel. So we've tried to make that work quite a lot, and it just hasn't. But if they are going to do other Stranger Things, you're going to imagine they're going to be creepy and horrible and all that kind of stuff. And there has been a few pictures out and about, again, just rumours of what buildings it might be and everything. And every single one of them is almost like a derelict building, because obviously it is, well, it's Stranger Things, isn't it? So, like the Upside Down house, if they actually make like a slightly bigger modular building, it should be okay. So the N1, this could go up on the wall. So what I've just done is I've just elbowed the Death Star, because I don't have enough space for anything. And all it's done, oh hang on, what has it done? It's done quite a bit. Oh no. There we go. Well, it took a lot to break that off. That's embarrassing, isn't it? Always going to happen. That's what happens when you're not paying any attention. Right, so can I figure this out? Yes, I think so. But I might want to get the instruction booklet, which is, doing this tired is not a good idea, which is miles away, because this is right down on the first bit. In all fairness, that's the weakest part of it anyway. No idea. Luckily I didn't damage the floor. I don't think I damaged the floor above it. I might have done. Might have done, you know. There might be some damage in there. So I will figure this out, which is not ideal. And then yeah, you know the plan. We'll carry this. That's why I didn't push it back at the end of the last live stream. That's why it felt like this is so tight. My fault. Should have prepped it better before we started doing this. At least you understand how big these things are. There's a bit of space in here, but when they're in, it'll be fine. Right, after about 20 minutes of fiddling around, we have fully repaired this to an inch of its life. I actually ended up having to take some of these top tiles off. I have pushed it out the way because this is how it actually was on the live streams. It was angled because obviously how I turn around and look at the camera. Schoolboy error. And I've also got some rocket fuel, which I am currently slowly starting to drink, which means I can wake up a little bit quicker, which is ideal. Nothing fun about staying up late to edit and then trying to wake up in the morning and just start filming. One of those. So I've got all the spare pieces that need to be put away. Obviously, like I said, I'll do that off camera. We've got the light. I've got I found, well, I say I found, I knew where they were. I've got all the instruction booklets, which again I needed because I just need to take a picture of all 6 of them and then take pictures of different bits and pieces of or whatever. The only thing I am a bit concerned of is this piece. Now I'm only concerned because I think it was already on the floor, because I did go looking for pieces at a later date. Now that circle curve looks perfectly fine all the way around, but if for whatever reason we spot it, there's the piece and it's up on the shelf and it is safe and sound. So now that is moved and that is up there, we were talking and waffling on about getting the carousel in for like a haunted type display, won't we? So I want an abandoned looking thing. I think that would look quite smart. I think if we went for an abandoned look and had maybe, I don't know, we moved the A-frame cabin trees and put it just basically in front of it and just had that kind of thing. That might look pretty cool. Just there's a little bit of theming. Obviously it'll still work as an actual ride, but it makes much more sense going down here than up there. Or the other thing is that's where the Harry Potter track comes into play. Because it looks like it's underground, it's abandoned and all that kind of thing. So there is potential that we could actually put the track in the middle. It's 2 base plates, so it's in the middle of this display. So I am favouring that those pieces are actually going to come down here, and we will make a sort of ride with something. Now we have tried it. I think we've tried it with the Rivendell up there before, and 2 pieces fitted, but not 3. But I think it needs to either be used as a divide going into almost either a separate land or something like that, if that's where it's going to go. So yeah, we've got quite a few options. So for now, we are going to try and get the carousel basically roughly placed. This is all rough. This bit under here is very, very rough, and then we can just make it all look neat and tidy in a separate upload. And I have no idea how much you can actually see, but the space is quite big there because it goes all the way through. So we'll put you on the back, put you there. So yeah, carousel is going to get picked up, placed down. This is where it's going to break a little bit more. I've got those base plates I need to move, and of course the Venator is in the way as well. So we've got lots to move before I can even reach it, because this block of cheese, the cheese, should fit just here. That's all together there. Up it goes, round it goes. because this thing obviously is enormous, absolutely enormous. But it's safe there, so you can see we've got all these minifigures for these bits and pieces. Should be a nice display for that. Now if I can, I might try and cheat and see if I can just pick this up on the base, as there's not much really to grab it by, because this is, in all fairness, this is going to be, I think, I'm going to say it now, the first live build repair that we're going to do. Because I'm going to do a repair series where just for a couple of lives, 2 or 3 lives, we repair it and it gets placed in. And I think this is going to be the one that will follow the Ninjago. Don't want to do the Ninjago now because that's going to be retiring. I think people would like to see it. And then I think I'm going to get tucked in and repair lots of different bits and pieces, because I have no idea what the new year is going to bring with regards to new sets and things like that. Whereas I have got plenty of things to finish and repair. This is one of them because all the base has fallen off. I don't know how much will need to be stripped down. So it's actually quite nice holding it on the base plate, because if you try and hold it by itself, it just falls apart. But yeah, I think this looking all abandoned would be quite creepy. So if I can place this down, and it'll be the end piece, so it'll go there. Does it fit? How far back can I go? Oh yes, I'm pushing my luck too much now. I am pushing my luck too much. So yes, that will fit and work between the wall and the thing. It's close. Obviously there's going to be lights and stuff going underneath there, but you can see literally there'll be a path going to that bit. That's going to be right at the end. That isn't going to work on the track, but if we made it a little bit more abandoned and had the other roller coaster track with it, then potentially it would. Now the He-Man castle, that's going to go, where are you? That's going to go in that corner. That's a nice looking set. So that will be going in at the corner as well. And then it's just making space for the cheese. And then we can crack on. But again, can I just cheat and keep it on the base plate it's on? So it might make my life just a little bit easier, and as I don't need the green ones. And because I actually am tempted to put these on the shelf and figure out what we're going to do with the shelf space. Whether that could be their parking home or what. I really like them. I really do like them. Can I reach the base plate if I twist it? Yes, I can. That's not going to work. Every time I pick this up, I forget. This is actually one of the easiest sets to remove. So what you do with this, the trick is it comes apart in 2 pieces. So you got that bit that comes off. Thank you very much. No drama whatsoever. So that goes down hammer in. And then the next bit will follow. And then when it comes to putting them all together, everything is good. And then, is it 2 bits? Does it split into 2? It splits into 2 and it folds. Yeah, folds. That bit on the roof. Now, you have heard the story of the Snake Mountain, so if there's anybody working from Mattel, please help me with that. I don't know how to get around that. It is still available set, but I don't know. Right, so that is safe. That is safe and sound. Now, we're going to do all the Star Wars stuff first. Trying to think now, because obviously this is going to be running parallel to the live stream build. but I am going to want to put these innards down in my time frame in probably about a fortnight, but in your time frame, actually probably will be a fortnight as well. This will probably go live relatively close to when it's going live. But what I don't want to do is things like that, where I knock everything over, and there's no way I want to kick or damage this at all. But this is too big and long to put in quite a few paces. It can literally stay there as we're doing this bit. I don't know for now, and for safety, I know it's not going to look the nicest, but it's just for safety. If this is the divide between Hoth and Tatooine, which just goes in the middle, because we've got the base plate of space, and obviously the wings would go over either side if it would fit. Because if it would just fit there, and then I put the next 6 base plates down, I can pick this up easily and put it on this table out the way when I'm doing the lives. It's just for this review. I don't really want it on the floor, because if I put it on the floor, I then can't do all of that stuff, because as I'm doing the stuff up top, as this dark video, there will be another video running for the bits and pieces underneath. So, well, how much space? Well, I know how much space it takes up, but the length of it is the issue, because this is not the right length. I can tell you that right now. It is not the right length at all, because this length is 85 and this length is over 1 metre. No is the answer to that. It can't fit on the shelf, because obviously the wingspan's too big. And I don't think it would go on that table. Unless it just goes across the back. Because it's only a temporary display, isn't it? So if it went across the back and we put the 8080 in front of it, they'd both be on camera and you would see them, but it wouldn't be tidy. And then the Venator would just go over here safely while this is being built, which means I'm still going to have to crawl underneath the table, but that's doable. Okay, let's try that. So the cheese, just to see what is going on with this, and all these wires and all this sort of stuff. Like I said, we'll be sorting out everything. We want to keep that on the 2, so yeah. Because the engine should be over the top. As long as it doesn't hit that light, it might overhang this way, which is great. I suppose just to bring that bit down in anticipation. You can come as much further forward as it wants to. As long as everything else fits. So there we go. If that went there like so. Didn't put the white base plates down, but it's okay. I've got some to put down, so it's fine. If I just put these, put four white base plates. I'm only doing this so it doesn't look horrendously terrible on the review video, because I don't mind it looking messy when it's this kind of thing, because obviously you can see what I'm doing all the time, but when it comes to the little review stuff, It just looks like it's a pigsty. It's never nice. So this bit here will be figured out. But obviously all these loose pieces that are on here are from the construction stuff, because they go in the actual booms and things. So all of these bits that you're hearing and seeing, all of these bits just here, they're all from these sets. The brain isn't, obviously, but yeah, all of those bits are. So again, let's get this bit down here, because we have made a good amount of space down here. Yes, we have. So all of the construction stuff can live there safely. Put that spaceship back there. That's magic, so I can stand about and not kick things. And then yeah, we will use these base plates for Hoth, and then I can take the orange, because I was doing Hoth was going to be yellow, orange and white. And we are going all the way to there. We are coming to where are you going to live? To the front. Which is going to be here. So we could just put another three white base plates down. Not that one. That one needs a good clean. Actually, could get away with that one for now. And clean that off camera, so that's okay. I need just one more base plate. Actually, we won't. We need to mess around with that. We can just keep it like that for now. 8080 goes onto this bit. And then I've got to figure out if I need to clear the whole shelf. So I'm going to clear, there's the other base plate there. That's sort of stuff on it. I've got another four white ones up there, another two down there. I've got some clipped together there, so if I want another base plate I can put that on. But yeah, I need to think of, because this is going to be facing this way for this video, and then in the video that we're doing it's just going to go up onto the shelf. So it's either I move those now or they can stay there. And to be honest, I think they could probably stay there. I could take those base plates off, put them on the floor, take that off, put them on the floor, clear this table bit up. That's ready for after the review. This bit will be ready for after the reviews. I need this whole table clear, so I've got to move that. So I've got a couple of things to move to safety. We will get these safe and sound out of the way. And then we'll play the game underneath here later on at some point of where do all the minifigures belong to. And that's the key question. Obviously this crane is huge. But yes, okay, that makes sense. Because the laptop, I'm just thinking again, the laptop would sit just in front of that gap. So the cantina can stay as it is, and these bits can just get picked up and moved when I'm doing the live, and then just put them back, because they would actually fit in the corner on the shelf when I'm doing the Ninjago build. So that's also something to consider with regards to the lighting and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. So it's going to be long. So let's get this 8080 moved, and then I can just get ready for the live stream. I keep saying the live stream, the review. There we go. And then yeah, we'll be good. So that took a little bit longer to think about. So the 8080, we are planning on having it angled, and I think we're going to have it angled. For now, we'll have it that way, and we'll mess around with it a little bit more. Because it fits on those 4 base plates, as we know. But I think it'd be looking that way. Possibly. But then you would see that when you come into the room. That would look quite smart. See what it looks like from over. Let's crawl into the table and see what it looks like from here. Oh yeah, yeah, we'll have it like that, because that way I can see all the front. We'll step it over a little bit more when we actually do it, and then yeah, we can have bits and pieces in front and around. But no, first thing you see is the head of that. Ship up on there would look nice, that would up there would look nice, cheese all around. So yeah, that should look quite effective. Obviously it can be angled round a little bit more, maybe pushed back, but I don't want it to go over those 4 base plates that is stood on, and then obviously we've got the extra 2 and the path that's basically just going to cut through the legs. It's just going to come round and go through, so that should be good. So I need to get all the instruction booklets together. We need to get that spun round in place correctly, which I can do not on this video. It's just going to be a lot of faffing about and basically moving stuff that you won't be interested in at the moment. So what you're going to do is you're going to catch back up with me when this bit is done, and then the plan will be get the rest of move the cheese onto this table, move the box, get the rest of the white base plates down, get the Hoth stuff off, and just start wrapping it around, and we'll probably finish with the Death Star up top, and then we'll just put all the black base plates down. So we've got 2 black base plates there, and then we've got another one down there. So yeah, we want a minimum of 3 on it, and then I can just get the rest of them, because they are dotted. They're dotted about all over the place anyway, so that should be absolutely fine. Because where it is not going to cause any damage, and if I need to, I can then actually use that shelf. And in saying that, if I put it on the shelf, I could actually then use the table space. Well, I'll figure that out once I've done the video, so I'll catch back up with you probably in a few days. So today is a new day, and we have managed to do the unboxing video for Ninjago, and we have actually managed to get this reviewed as well, which now means time is against us because it is pouring down outside. I am going to be doing a live later on this evening doing the Ninjago Rising Dragon, which then means we're going to have 2 video diaries running parallel, because I'm going to start by getting that box out and actually moving the lights in the correct position. So all we need to achieve now is clear the space ready for the Ninjago stuff, which means we're actually going to have to put this up on the shelf first, because I was thinking about it after I said, oh, we'll do it in the reverse order and use that space. Well, I need it for my building area, so it's not exactly ideal. So all of that stuff that I put up there now just needs to move, and I do need, within the next hardly any time whatsoever, find the black base plates that it's going to go on, because I don't really think it's going to work anywhere else. Actually, no, that's a lie. I'm not going to rush, because I know I'm going to break it. We will use this as a backdrop. So I will put it back where it was. We'll use it as a backdrop, and then when the live stream's finished, I'll have the day tomorrow to then actually tidy all of that area up. Otherwise we are just going to be too pushed for time, and it's just going to be pointless. Because I could run around and get it all in, but I think if we actually just use this, because it's now done, and at least on the live stream people are going to see, because I have just added in some more of the minifigures, and we've added in all just randomly in different places, so that it does look pretty smart. It's just now a case of yeah, shutting all the doors back up, because I had to open everyone up just to show that lift works and everything else, and yeah, it's actually 100% complete, which is good. So let's get this, get Palpatine in his seat, because he does look pretty cool on his purple. I think he actually stands with the blast effects on, doesn't he? He stands? I think he is. He's supposed to be standing, so no, we'll have him sat. We'll have him sat down, because he's going to fall off and get lost. And that rain off this ceiling is mad. In fact, we'll place him in a second. So I just need to be careful when I'm moving this, because literally when it goes on the black base plate, that's it. It's the last time it's going to move. So if we can just tuck this round, that will now give me enough space, because we're building one base plate at a time, so you can see all the space that we've got for that. There's no pieces that's going to get mixed up on there, which is fantastic. Actually, we will have you, rather than sat on your chair, we'll have you stood for no reason whatsoever, just for the sake of it for now. And then when I've got two hands, I'll put them in there, because you're not going to see me do it. So I'm now going to start the other video diary for the Ninjago bits and pieces, which means then we can clear tomorrow all of this shelf, put the black base plates down, pick this one up, plonk that on, and then there'll be a Ninjago box where this Star Wars box is for now, because I need to keep this box up for a comparison video, and then we can basically just carry on. But I think that would be quite a nice little backdrop just there for tonight, because it just saves me panicking and rushing around. So I need to get the lighting in place and all the other little bits and pieces, which now will be done under the Ninjago diary, which will be the following video, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. So I'll catch back up with you either tomorrow or later on in the week. So we are a few days on, and it is time to get that Death Star up. Everything got set up, everything's been moved around, obviously, as it does. And now it is time, basically, for me to get this up on here. But as we know, we need to get the black base plates down first. And obviously, I made the schoolboy error of putting all of those pieces on that shelf to start with, not actually thinking about how quickly this would need to go up after the review because of the live stream. So, idiot, I know, idiot. But what we don't want to do is obviously damage this thing again. Now, what I can do for now is I just want the 3 base plates in the middle. The others can just stay the wrong colour, but this needs to be in the middle and sat over, obviously, those base plates. And then as I can start to reach things a little bit better, and I can pull this stuff off the shelf and put it in, I can then swap the base plates around with the other colours. So that might make a little bit more sense, I think. That is an empty one that will get recycled. So I'll figure out what we're going to do with that thing just there. And yeah, you're, I think, going to be right where the edge of the base plate is. Now, this should be interesting, because these are all from the Clone Wars. So there's one. So you know when you're having like a really bad few days, this is another one of those days. So I have just spent about 15, maybe 20 minutes telling you everything that's going to be going on, picking up the base plates, putting the base plates where they needed to go, picking up the Death Star, putting it on there, and then of course jumping on this table to put all the minifigures back, gone to watch the footage back, and it recorded the first minute and 20, and that was it. The rest of it just crashed. So even though it was still going up like it is now, and it was still recording and me talking and looking through the cameras, I always do, for whatever reason, it didn't want to save. So, long story short, that's now up on there. I've been on my hands and knees on this table, balancing like an absolute moron, trying to pin my head against the roof, because I wanted Palpatine up at the top, and I can reach the minifigure with the duck, so I can pull that out at any point, which is great. So now we are at the point of what way do we go. So luckily I checked the camera, because I had literally just put these green base plates down to say that, oh, this was over the 4 base plates, because we had the path going all the way round. We've also got to think of what I'm going to be doing with the cheese and where it's going to go. I can't move that in my time for about another week because it's going to go underneath the table safe and sound, but it's going to go underneath the table when the inserts get swapped over, and then that'll be absolutely fine. So that's when that's going to happen. Obviously this is going to be a long-term project anyway. So I think maybe the next thing to do is just work out where the best place is to put the sail barge, because it's on the shelf underneath. It's a big thing, and I've got to figure out if it's going to go against that blue wall or against the bit at the back. As Pumpkin has come up to say hello. So I think that's the next thing that we can do, because we can't do Hoth until the big block of cheese is done. I need to double check to make sure that the balls are in the right place, and then obviously it's other things of where we're going to put the other little ships. And I was saying when I was climbing up on the table, there's nothing else I can add on. There's nothing else I can actually add on to this display now. I'll put the plaque in with the minifigures at the bottom, so it's all fully in. I just need to add more minifigures to it. I think the little falcon might look quite nice on that side. I don't know whether to make up Luke's lightsaber, because, well, it wouldn't be part of this. What would make sense is if I had the Moff Gideon's big ship. Was he on Moff Gideon's ship? I think it was his. Was it his cheese he was on, where you had the Dark Troopers and he returned? Was he had the green lightsaber and that? So it makes sense if it was with that, because obviously this is supposed to be a walkthrough museum piece and yada yada yada. So what I need to do is I need to get my head round what I'm going to be doing. I want to check the next 3 minutes to make sure that it's working. I don't know if the battery was just cold or whatever was happening. And then we will basically get tucked into a Tatooine placement, and I've got to think of what I'm going to put where with regards to how it's going to work and all that kind of thing. And then yeah, start making a dent in this display. Right, now I'm over the fact that I lost all of that. I think it is right with what I've said. Now, in case anybody does wonder, the laser end is here, because I've actually put it in the middle. So I even can, when I put it on the shelf, it was literally 3 studs over on that one and 3 studs over on that one. So it just kind of made sense just to leave it like that for now. And then if we think it looks better with the longer bit, I can push it over a smidge ever so slightly. But there's a little bit of a gap and a bit of a breather around the top. So I think to be honest, it'll be okay like that. Because I did move it over. See, you missed all of this stuff. I jumped back up, moved it over, put the laser back on, and it was against the side, fell off. That hit me in the face, which was exciting. But yeah, I've been jumping up and down this like a frog. Never mind. Right, so now that I've explained where we're at with this, I think that will make sense. We are now, in the next little while, just going to be covering the 2 things. So I've got a big tick list of stuff that I do want to try and get through, and that is going to be sail barge placement, because what that can do for now is that can actually be the backdrop by this. So when I'm building, it won't be in the, I'm not saying it's in the way, but until it's in the actual correct place, I've got all the lights and the cables over that way. And what happens is when I'm doing the lives and have to move stuff, what I don't want it to do is pull it and rip a sail off. But when it's in the correct place, I can then feather the cables around the back of it, and I don't have to worry. So I'm not trying to show these sets off on purpose on the live, but it's just safer for them. So the sail barge is underneath here, and the plaque and plinth for the Jabba sail barge is also here as well. Now, I didn't make up the long length for the plaque, because I didn't think that would be the kind of thing to do. But now I'm thinking I'm actually going to have to make up all the plaques, because there's the Venator, there's the sail barge, And then we've got the Death Star. So we've got the 8080, which isn't actually finished. I've not even got to that bag yet. So that could potentially have the plaque underneath it. So it'll give something for people to read. And then for the balls, well, there is the plaque, which is a sticker. And then obviously you just get the 2 minifigures it comes with. So that is underneath here as well. So yeah, I might have to make up the plaques or just make up some sort of stand for the different bits and pieces, but I am now just getting underneath here and we are going to get this off the shelf. Now, last time I moved it, annoyingly, as it does, it got damaged when I did that, and obviously I didn't realise. So what bit is it? So we have got, from the middle, 1, 2, 3. And from the middle, we've got 1, 2, 3. Eh? Those 2 bits are the same. Those 2 bits are the same. Those 2 bits, that was it. There's a bit that's, oh, it's just a side flap, is it? Yeah. So, did I spot? I don't think I have. Oh, that's going to be fun. We'll add that to the rebuild series and shall we, and see if we can actually find this one as well. So I've got all sorts of minifigures down here. This is, I do believe now, the actual original Luke Skywalker from the original sets in the mid-90s. So I've got that one, and I've got the X-Wing, the X-Fighter, well, you know what I mean, the actual pilot. So I've got him in both forms from, might be 96, 97. That will be either on the shelf or on the floor, but it'll be wrapped around one of these things. Now, rather than me pulling everything out just to put it straight back, knowing that in a few days it'll all be pulled out, we'll worry about it then. But I do want Chewie, I do want you, I do want that Trooper, there's Obi-Wan. Got minifigures down here. Droid, Ewok, yep. No. The things that steal things, you know the ones. Another set of balls for the chin. So yeah, there's a lot of minifigures sort of just randomly bagged that we do want to try and get placed in the next little while. I am going to probably get a sealed bag and put them in. I can just keep taking them out rather than just putting them on the base plates and things like that. Got to double check if that is a minifigure from the Cantina, or is that a minifigure? I can't remember. Is that the one from the Medieval? Because they're all thrown down in here. There's another one from the Cantina. So yeah, there's a fair bit. Big chunk. Mouth still attached. Pretty cool thing actually. You can actually just keep it clicked open if you want to with this big old smiley face and tongue. So I keep saying to myself, I'll just find it when I pull everything out, but there is other bits and pieces down here. I don't think it's important for Tatooine though. So the next thing is the Harry Potter track. There are 2 places that's going to go. It's either going to go by the merry-go-round underneath here, and to be honest, I could actually just raise it up and have the merry-go-round on the track because I think it would fit. That would be a very, very odd concoction, but I think it would make it a bit more weird and look a little bit more abandoned. But that is going to be our first thing that in our repair series, because I've got all the pieces for that underneath, but I don't know if the base would take it, so I have to probably sit it on a base plate, and then obviously the base plate sits inside it. So I think there's a possibility that it might work on that, because it'll go with our abandoned feel with the Stranger Things. Now, if that is the case, that leaves us with one, which then means all the Star Wars stuff is basically, it's not going to work within the Star Wars section, because all of these bigger ships are obviously too big. If we don't think that that is going to work with the carousel, we have two of them, and we have tried it on this before. So, because this always looks like it's moving when it's stood still, obviously I'm going to have this open like so, because, well, it looks great opened up, and you've got all of the minifigures in here, and I can actually see the minifigures properly, and I can actually grab them and do all the bits and pieces. Because there's shorts with these figures that I've not made yet. I've not done sort of the Blue Elephant short, or I don't even think I've done one with Jabba either. So yeah, there's lots, because when it's open, that's probably why I didn't notice it. When it's open, you can't actually tell that piece is off, because that piece attaches to that. So we'll find it, but that's how it's going to be. Now, obviously, it would look nice, potentially, on the track. You know where I'm going with this now, don't you? It makes sense for it to go against the blue wall, so it's raised. But that, on that, won't fit with the roof. And if it's in front of it, I don't think it's going to fit. So this is key, really, with regards to where is this going to go? Because I don't, this is what we're going to have to try now. I don't think, because this has to go on both. So if we want this flying, because it's a big thing, but if you think that they're both, that thing and that thing are both classed as the same, under the same banner, that and that is classed as the same banner. Obviously this is just like a perfect, this goes with, complements, that's the one, the cantina perfectly. So I'm glad that it's like this, but I do think it needs to be up potentially. It could potentially go behind the cantina. But if it did that, the cantina would then cover the tracks. But is that how we could get them getting from the cantina up to the sail barge? Because this is our sort of dining room area, bar bit for the whole theme park. So you go up the lifts, and then back down you go. Or you just go up one, down the other. So I need two of them, and it kind of makes sense. But again, if I commit to that, we can't do it with the carousel, but I'm not going to know if it's going to fit if I don't try it. So that is what we're going to do then. That's what we're going to try. The only thing is, again, that I know the front of it's lower. And I know, depending on how these are, it is just two base plates up top, and there's a little bit more wasted underneath. But I don't know if we're going to waste too much space on here. Whereas the footprint to the bottom of the carousel is bigger than a base plate anyway. Why not? Let's just try it. Let's just try it. Because this would then start to set me up for the live stuff. Now, this is a random Saturday afternoon at the moment. We are, not that it makes a difference to you, but we're about 20 past 2 on a random Saturday. And if I was to go live today, I'd probably go live in about 2.5 hours. So we've got plenty of time. We've got plenty of time to do it, so I probably wouldn't go live until about 5 o'clock today. So yeah, if this goes wrong, I've got enough time to undo it all. That's got to go back up there. Right, let's get some of these lights out the way. So the temperature must be dropping very, very quickly. outside because my nose is all of a sudden getting very, very, very cold. Right. We want you up on these bits of wood from about that angle. That way I can just leave you hands free and it's going to take as long as it takes. That's all I can say and do, because obviously I want this raised up as well. I think this would look nice. And then these buildings we'll have to be a little bit clever with, because if we do come into the space to my left, which is fine, because in all fairness the Tatooine could take up 6 and the Hoth would just be fine on the Hoth could take up 9. Oh my days. Hoth could do 6, but the Cantina from Tatooine could take up 9, because we didn't know what we're going to do in the middle. It would allow these buildings just to be sort of dotted around in this middle section. I think this area here is the area that I'm going to tile for all of the actual working bar. And then for future, the laptop will literally just sit there, so I don't actually have to move anything. And then if I put any buildings and things, then obviously it'll have to change. But with this being brought forward now, the laptop might, yeah. See, it's all these things to think of when you don't have a purpose-built live streaming area, and it's all happening simultaneously, as of course these things do. Right, we have got all sorts of minifigures just piled up in front of you. But now I can reach all of these much easier. Not it was difficult to reach them before, but obviously I can reach them now a little bit easier from the sail barge, which is good. Now because I've moved that table probably would have come in handy to put these on, but we have got space. We've got a bit of space over here. Oh, will it fit? What do we think? I'm looking at the height of how many bricks that is, and I'm not feeling too positive about it, to be quite honest with you. So that went all the way into the corner, and the next one went with it. Is that going to work that way? I tell you what, is it going to work the other way? Because it's not the tallest, is that? I wasn't expecting. Oh, we'll soon find out. Because if the front fits, then we might have a double option. Because this is the only way I can justify putting this here, if it is acting as a working thing. But of course, so that is only going to take up the 2 base plates, but then you can see the problem I'm going to have with the cantina, because the cantina is going to be well in front. Still got space for that laptop just to go in here though, so maybe this bit just stays a little bit more open. I said I wasn't going to move you into the end, and I picked you up probably 3 or 4 times. Right, let's have a super quick sip of this cold drink. Let's get the correct colour base plates on, in case this does work, because we have got plenty of these out and about at the moment. Will this fit? And if it does fit, that's, to be honest, the more I'm looking, I don't know. Oh, What a shame. Right, it's actually longer than I thought it was. Are we on? No. Yes. So we got the option of it being up there. And then it does that. So we've seen that before. Obviously the front, that is literally touching the roof. I don't think it would stick out enough for it to fit, because I think it might look potentially, well, actually I don't know. What do we think? If the 8080 stayed that way and that stayed that way and that was forward facing, do we have everything forward facing, or would that look better spun? Now, of course, no matter what I do, it's going to have to be on 9 base plates. There's no way I can get around that whatsoever. But what this allows me to do, I keep kicking, I keep standing in the same, so I've moved the base plates, and now the next thing I'm kicking is just the giveaway purchase box. So that now can just get recycled and gone. Because it's over 9 base plates, I don't know if I can spin it round the other way. So you've got the 3 at the back. So this is actually then just the backdrop, and then the cantina is then forward facing. But if you did that, I don't know if you're going to have space for the bits and pieces. Whereas there might be an opportunity, if I needed to, I don't know. But I don't think it looks dreadful, but I just don't know if it works that high. I don't know if it works like that. Because the other thing it does is it goes in that position, or it goes slightly, or it faces the other way. We put it back on these bits of wood like we've done before. So there's only 2, maybe 3 high of each one. These are what these are cut for. I actually cut these up to put them underneath each leg, so there was enough weight and support. And then it goes that way. But you can see into the rooms okay. And I'm going to be sat here building. I don't know. I'm going to keep saying that. I really don't know. And I know it's just not going to fit if it got spun the other way. So, do we do something completely different for a change? Do we keep the cantina right at the very front, across these front 3, spin that round so it actually does fit, and then all of the smaller buildings we put at the back for photo opportunities, and we have the path going around that way? Because that is an option. But I suppose the only problem doing it that way is that the sail barge is literally going to be sniffing the 8080's backside. So do we angle it instead? Do I bring the front round so it's on show more, so we cut that back corner off, and in that back corner we just put some of these smaller things where basically you can just take photos of them, because they're not anything exciting as such, are they? And then we have potentially maybe this at the back as well, because this is just the throne room. This gets brought to the front, and obviously that then is brought to the front. Now I know it's going to get difficult with the big block of cheese there, but we could attempt to potentially just drag. Will it go? All right. I don't know what you can see. I don't know if you've just stuck on under me or if I'm in the way or what, but it is moving ever so slightly. Right, you're on something else. I don't know if that's better or worse, but that's easier to see on the inside, and obviously I can come round quite a bit more. Maybe I can just do that, and then I'll have to bring that one has to twist. That's like that, and that one has to twist as well. Yeah, because all the weight on this is at the back. So you've got the option of it being angled, but I think that actually potentially kills off any opportunity of getting the cantina in open. So as we know, that cantina is huge. But yeah, if I want the 80/80 there, you can see what the problem's going to be. The front end comes round and it's just going to be nose to tail. I don't think there's going to be enough breathing space between the bigger sets, which is a little bit of a shame. I mean, obviously, potentially, if this wasn't on the track and it was dropped ground level, it wouldn't really matter. It could go anywhere then. But do we think this looks better higher up? Because then it's up with all the others, because obviously technically it's a ship. Or do we have it on ground level with the cantina and the pit? I suppose the only thing we can do is take it off those tracks, put it down, and put it in the two positions against that wall or that wall, and then put the cantina in front of it and see if it works. But the problem is, with those doors open, because it's not that high off the floor, I think this is actually taller than the front, so I then don't think you're going to be able to see in. Like I said, this is always good fun to try this kind of stuff, but I just generally don't know what the best place is for this. So I literally have had it, and then I've just not been able to find anywhere. But so you can see what it looks like on the table, and you can see just how you think that's the height of the cantina. So the cantina's in front of it with that open. You're not really gonna see it. But no harm in trying. But this is gonna be, like I told you, it's gonna be quite a long upload. Just getting these displays together over a long period of time. And the worst thing is, because obviously this is going to happen over a long period of time, somebody's going to go, oh, it looks really good with that in that location, and it would have obviously, it's never going to be like that by the time it's finished, more than likely. So that is an option. That is your one option. So again, with those flaps open, it eats into a huge amount of space anyway. So that is 3 base plates by, obviously, near enough a whole base plate. In fact, it is a whole base plate, because it's actually off the base plate at the back. So that will be an easy full base plate in depth, and then it steps and staggers. But do we think that's just a little bit too small? I personally think it looks better upright. But it just depends on what it stands on. Because if it stood on these, rather than the track, it wouldn't take up as much space, and then the cantina could literally be flush to the bottom. So we have had that before, and I think that did look quite smart. I think we might be able to get it just high enough that it could potentially, well, I'm going to have to cut some more wood up, but if it was to go that way, we might have the option of doing it that way as well. So of course the other option, which isn't as easy because we've got that over there, is we keep Hoth on those 6, or even on just on those 4. 6 would be easier because obviously we can put the smaller stuff again at the back, and you can see through the legs and see all that kind of thing. But then if the cheese just came over, would the cheese fit on the stand and it just went across the whole back wall, which would then allow another one underneath here, and the Tatooine stuff goes at the front. So we just condense the Clone Wars display down, but obviously the problem doing that is we're losing it with the balls, because the balls in that isn't going to fit. Oh, I don't know. I know one thing, I am getting hungry. So what I'm going to do is grab something to eat, grab a bag to put these minifigures in so they don't get lost, figure out which is the priority, because I think the 3 main things is obviously this thing needs to be on show, as does that, and obviously we've got the little ship. So we'll have the little ship around that raised up ever so slightly. So we could have a 3-way display, I guess, because if you had that, and obviously I actually raised it up, you can't even see, but I've actually raised it up on the clear cylinders rather than the wood, and then behind that on the 3rd tier was the sail barge, it would then be just like it is in the film. And then around the cantina we have all of the smaller buildings just like it would be in the film as well. The only thing I did want that as like the rooftop bar from it, because obviously you've got the drinks being served up in that one, and then you've got the drinks being served in that one as well. Unless we class that as the bar and that as the restaurant. But what that would look like together would be like that. To be fair, it doesn't have to be that way around, does it? It could just be that way. That is there. That thing's just raised up high, and that just gets brought to the front. Oh, the decisions I've got to make. So, food, warmer clothing, I think, and then just put some of the minifigures away. And just try and make a decision either now, or I might just wait until I know what I'm going to do with the cheese, and then we can really attack the first bit of the Tatooine. Right, we will carry on for a little while longer, and I think I'm going to attack this later on today or tomorrow, once I've kind of got my head around it. So the one big thing about this, as you can see, is that this is, well, it's a different scale to all the other stuff. This is perfectly in scale with this, but obviously it's not meant to match anything else, because obviously this is the UCS and this is the Master Builders series, I think. You've got to be very careful how you say that. Does look smart with it closed, so I could just keep it closed. And if I kept it closed, it might be a little bit easier with regards to all the bits and pieces. Of course, I haven't got the roof bit built up because I've never had any intention of keeping it closed, but you could literally just have that right at the bit there. There's your building, there's your aerial view, and you walk in and you're done. You just throw those around the back, this goes on the side, and that's all it. Of course, then this is the problem you have. You can't open this up, you can't open these up, So then this will have to be raised up regardless. If you then raised it up, do you just put it straight so you can actually have it as a proper photo opportunity rather than an actual building? This is the thing. I don't know what looks better. Does it look better shut? Does it look better open? I've never displayed it closed. Obviously, I have moved the minifigures, but obviously if it was shut and we started to put all the other little buildings around it like so, obviously it all matches up, and then you've got like a proper Tatooine type thing. Now, if that was the case, I would have to keep this right at the front because I want to see all the minifigures. This wouldn't then go back, so this would just get pushed back that way. The teeth would then have to go somewhere, and then you're going from there. But of course, if we said it was coming over 6 base plates, there's potential for that bit to go there, and then we could wrap it around. But yeah, the question is, does it look better open or does it look better closed? But because I can see everything from the front just here, I don't know if it makes for my display now with the roof off. I don't know if it actually makes more sense trying to actually have it closed. Because when it's up at the top and you can't see into it and it's too high, you can't see anything about it. But if it's like right at the front of the table, we actually might be onto something. Because if this opens up and I bring this forward, let's shut that back up. Because it is so long, that is your, obviously that's your other take. Do I base plate it all up so you could see, or do I keep it shut? Because that one's now with that, so it's technically closed. I'm actually thinking now it might actually work a little bit better shut. You can see the whole bar area perfectly fine. Because it's, if it was open and we wanted to see this properly, it would have to go right at the very, very front, which obviously would be here. And that is going to go into the hearth. So the only way I can have this open, it'll have to face this way, and that's going to have to go up regardless. But maybe I should keep it closed. Maybe that's what I'll go for. Well, I might as well start with it shut, build the display around it, and if for whatever reason I don't like that, obviously over the time that we're doing this, it's going to be quite a long time, isn't it? So we'll put this back shut. I have got all the pieces for this to make up the roof. Where they are is a different story, but I have got all of them. But actually, to be fair, as long as it's there, I would actually be quite happy with that being like that, because with it closed, what is it? Width, it's less than a width of a base plate. Now, I guess now, if I'm going to do that, I think we could just literally make the display as a horseshoe around the container. Which then means if the container was closed, do we bring back the track and raise that really high up? Or do we just raise it up a little bit? Because it has to be raised up. You can see the problem I've got. It can't be that low. Because I can't make the path around it. I can't get. Problem is, it's not high enough for me to get the minifigures underneath either. Because if it was just on 3 chunks of wood, because these, like I said, I've cut these 2 the size of the legs. So if these were on the bits of wood that were needed, I can't actually see. It doesn't stick out anymore, but if I was to do that, you could potentially get the minifigure underneath it if I was to do that. And of course, the higher I go, well, potentially the cleaner it would look. But that could be left just like this, and it just happens to be you've got the curve with the curve, so that could just stay as it is. Then it wraps around with all of the other buildings. Yeah, I'm going to keep that shut. I've now just got to make the decision how high we do this, because if we are going to do a wraparound, I think the pit on the one side with the battle would look quite nice around this bit with the path zigzagging through, and then we basically have this bit at the back and then the smaller villagey bits at the front. And then if for whatever reason we want any of the ships, we could potentially put one of the ships at the back. Look at that, all it took was 2 digestives biscuits. And I'm like, no, should have just plonk that there. So yeah, we're going to go for a wraparound. Which then of course we've got the big creature that I've just put in the bag. So that would literally be parked, chilling out at the front. He's got his drinking water bit somewhere as well, isn't he? So that'll be underneath. So that would allow that to sort of chill out where it needs to go. And obviously it allows us, it'll be on this side obviously. That allows us to do that kind of thing. If it's supposed to go at the back, we can plonk him there. And yeah, I can just keep all the minifigures in there safe and sound. I can get the minifigures back in, get the minifigures back out. And of course, I keep forgetting, these bits pop off, don't they? This is the set where these are removable. So I can just get the minifigures in like that. Ingenious. That is how we'll do it then. That's going to make my life a lot easier. I will, rather than just showing you again of picking it up and putting it on the track, I'll pick it up, I'll put it on the track now, see if it fits with the legs. If it doesn't fit with those legs, there's no way it can go there, because obviously we'll know with regards to the leg space, because it's a lot longer than 32 base plates. If it looks wrong, we won't do it. And of course, if I can't actually, I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to make the display up that we want with the legs. So I'm going to have to put this on the timber. And I'm going to have to get it high enough that I can get all the other little bits and pieces underneath it. So this is actually going to have to go quite high. Then that's going to have to be raised up. Then we're going to have the pit with the path zigzagging round. That all now makes sense. You've got the entry in and the exit in and out of this thing. So again, you've got a lot of play features on this, which is great. Forget about all of these. I say that bit opens up. It does open up, but you need two hands. That bit is on the teeth, so that does open up. So if I want to get more light in, I can. So that might be on my rebuild series end, because I might actually see if I can find the pieces at some point and put in the spider's web roof again, because that could potentially look quite smart. So I am going to have to now, before we do anything else, find all those bits of wood, which should be interesting, raise it up to what brick we think we want it to be. So I'm assuming it's going to be about there, so it's actually just underneath the shelf. Then the sails will be in line with it. But because it's on the timber, it's not sticking out as much. And then we can start with the display on the side. So I need to find the bits of wood and then hope for the best. So that is on 6 pieces. You've got 3 either end. I need to get some more in the middle, but that have to be the lowest it would be. I just don't, it's nice that it's steps, it's nice that it is slightly higher, but I think it's all going to come down to how tall I want this, because obviously if this is, I guess this could be the same height. I mean, that wouldn't look awful if it was just there a little bit higher up, would it? But obviously if this isn't high enough and we start to put this underneath, you're not really going to see it because, well, it's going to be hidden. So you kind of want it on show. So for it to be on show, because you've got space for it to be on show, it is going to need to be raised up higher, and of course then I can carry on putting the path. So if it was double that height, I think it would be close to that shelf, and I think that might be a little bit better. But for me to be able to do that, I need to actually cut some more bits and pieces up. So we're going to leave it there. I think if I'm going to go live, I need to start getting ready for that now. So you will catch back up with me tomorrow once I've actually slept on this. And if you don't catch up with me tomorrow, it'll be later on in the week, because I haven't got any more wood to cut up. And just like that, that is the end of part number 1. And part number 2, well, we move even more bits and pieces to get everything nicely fine-tuned before we start to tinker with some minifigures. So, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be absolutely fantastic. But as always, thank you very much for watching. You lot take care, and I'll catch you next one.